you so much. I love what you're doing, and I am so excited and honestly grateful to be here with you today. So my name is Jodi Covitz, and I wear a lot of different hats. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I'm going to give you a couple key messages, and then I'm going to spend some time talking to some of you that are just the most amazing, impressive girls to meet. So my most important job in life is I am mom. I am mom to Lily. She's 9. She loves to code. And she told me a few weeks ago after she built her website that she was very proud that she did it using an AI. Professionally, I currently do a couple of different things. My day job, my night job, my passion, my love is the global movement I am building to advance the participation and leadership of girls and women in technology. Move the dial. I also am deeply passionate about raising money for Sick Kids Hospital. The reason for that is my gorgeous daughter, who's perfectly healthy now, spent 75 nights there over 2 years between the ages of 2 and 4. She had 13 very rare infections and nobody could diagnose her. I bet if we were to apply the technologies that so many of you are working hard to develop, it wouldn't have been so hard. And one night, my baby coded, and it was the scariest 20 seconds of my life. But in that moment, I woke up, and I always see it as my greatest gift because it called me to live a higher passion and purpose, to nourish her mind, body, soul, and to do the big thing I knew I was meant to do in the world. So currently, we're raising $1.3 billion to rebuild the hospital. And I created an initiative in the tech industry to build the most fascinating and current and innovative and futuristic emergency room in the world. That's a big problem we're trying to solve. And if any of you are interested in putting your passion and skills towards thinking about how we should be using AI in an emergency room, just let me know. I also have a joy project called Just Say Hello, where I speak, write, and teach about how to build authentic and meaningful relationships, which are just as important as knowing how to code or build a rocket ship. I have many other pieces of me, and I share this with you because it's really important that you always build the other pieces of you as you go ahead along your journey to build big things. I love yoga. I lived in Italy for a year. I love sunsets. Mountains ground me. I was named one of the top 100 most powerful women in Canada, but what mattered to me was having 20 friends there to celebrate and toast that, because without them, none of that would have happened. I want to tell you 3 things today. First, for those of you that are building rockets in the room, any of you here interested in rockets? Hands up, oh yeah. You will know that they don't go in a straight line. So you don't have to know right now, today, where you're going to end up. Do some of you sometimes feel some pressure of like, what am I going to be when I grow up? How am I going to use this technology? Do I have to learn quantum right now because I'm going to be in quantum? You don't need to know. My journey was long and winding, and I could spend 3 days talking to you about it. But what I'll tell you today is this. When I started in business school with my first company, which was a greeting card company, I had no idea I'd be building a global movement to advance women in tech 20 years later. I had lots of stops and whines along the way. My first real job was at a tech company. I left because I couldn't see any women on the executive team that looked like me. That's sad. I then took a detour and I practiced law for many years, and through all sorts of different winding pieces and moments, I came to Move the Dial. But what's been consistent for me is that it was only because of what I call Move the Dial moments. I sought out proactively mentors who became people that cared about my success, so much like how Naveed and Nadeem care about the individual success of each young person in their program. And then they took the time to invest in me, to teach me, to mentor me, as your mentors are doing today, and to lift me up. I won't talk about the story of all of them today, but from David Ossip, who took his tech company public last week, coming in as my first financial partner in Move the Dial, just believing in me without even knowing where it was going, that says everything. all the way to the mayor, who came to one of my first events and stood beside me because I'd built a relationship with him such that he cares about me, and he now shows up at my birthday party. I'm not special. I just took the time to get to know him, to understand him, to do what was important for him, and build a real relationship with him so he shows up for me. And this incredible woman, Lisa Lisson, who when I was offered my first CEO role, who had been coaching and mentoring me, she's the CEO of FedEx Canada with 13,000 employees, I said, Lisa, I don't think I can be a CEO. I feel like an imposter. I don't know how to do that job. She said, Jodi, you got this. And when you don't, I got you. I look at Colleen, who really believed in me and pushed me to work harder and think bigger. You need those people in your life. And finally, Katie Taylor, who was the CEO of Four Seasons for 20 years, is currently the chair of the board of RBC. In a weak moment when I went to her and said, I don't know if I can build this global movement. Who am I to do this? She looked at me and said, don't you ever forget, you have magic beans in you. Well, that's fun. We can dance. So the next thing I want to tell you is we can all solve the world's biggest problems. When we started Move the Dial, one of the first things I wanted to do was have a look at the world and what was going on in Canada. What was the state of the nation? When we look at girls at your age in the room, all the way to the spectrum of boards. In our report, we were not surprised to find that there are not very many founders of tech companies that are women, 5%. And so many teams of tech companies don't have women on the founding team. Something that was even more alarming to me is that the number of women that are graduating from STEM programs is going down, and in fact, is just not reflective of half the talent pool being at the table to solve the world's biggest problems. Oprah, in her Golden Globe speech, if any of you don't know Oprah, she's an incredibly powerful woman who came from nothing, that built an empire of a media company, and is a gorgeous human changing the world, said, we can only be what we can see. So to me, number 2 is you have to understand the power of role models. For those of you that don't know Jane Goodall, she's my daughter's greatest role model. We're so passionate about all the work she's done in the world of science. And these are some women in tech that if you don't know, you probably should. I don't have time to read their lengthy bios to you today, but when you think about the power of women like Sheryl Sandberg or Peng, co-founder of Alibaba, completely changing the world, Boz, who's such a rock star, she's the brand officer at Uber. These are incredible humans, and I encourage you to seek out role models, no matter what gender you are, of all genders, because there's so much that you can learn. But for all of you to solve the world's biggest problems, we have to proactively move the dial. What does that mean? In order to increase the participation of women in tech, we have to work together to solve the world's biggest problems, this being one of them. I actually think that it's a crisis right now in front of us. If you continue to teach machines, as you're all doing, to learn, but you're not actually including all voices, not only from a gender diversity perspective, but all voices at the table designing those solutions, won't those machines learn the bias and never be able to be rectified? What if we teach our cars to drive without all perspectives at the design table and the leadership table? How will they ever know how to react to a young girl crossing the street? Our journey is long, and I'll tell you all about it another time or any time you want to ask. But we've gained momentum from a little event that was going to be for 30 people that became 1,000 because someone posted it on Twitter, to 10 events later. I now have a team of 5. We've expanded to the US, San Francisco, New York. We're going to LA and having a global summit in November. We're partnering with TKS. I couldn't be more excited. We do a whole bunch of things, but one of the things that's just so incredibly important is to build community, to foster connections, to help you build your network so that you can meet the kind of people that can change your life as mine has been changed. We partner with people, corporations, tech, government, academia, corporates, to think about how we can move the dial fast, bring our knowledge together, almost like an open source AI. We're open sourcing the solution to this problem. We also believe in substance. Having events is incredibly important. We have a platform where we share the stories of incredible women. I want to share all of yours, looking for 1 million stories of incredible people changing the world. But we also have to measure and track to goals, otherwise it's not worth much. We have incredible partners, we're very lucky, and I feel it is an obligation and a service that we must do to humanity to work together to make sure that all of you can have an impact on the world. So what can you do today? Number one, don't stop having your big ideas. Don't ever give up on yourselves. Man, woman, otherwise, doesn't matter, you can do it. Number two, seek out a mentor. Find someone that you authentically connect with, ask them for a coffee, to give you time, to give you energy, to listen to you. Be structured in what you ask them for, to coach you, to meet with you quarterly, and then ask them again. Don't give up on that. And also share your big ideas with the world. And now 2 incredible women are gonna come up and just share with you a little bit about their stories, the incredible work that they're doing, who are part of the TKS program. Tanisha and Hannah are gonna come up and chat with me, because fundamentally, this is how we move the dial. We show those of you that are doing it every opportunity we get. Okay, amazing. So let's get started. We're waiting for the chairs, but I'm mindful of the schedule. So I'm gonna ask you each to introduce yourselves. So Hannah and Tanisha, we'll go in that order. Tell a little bit about your story.
So hi everyone, my name is Hannah and I am one of the TKS students. So I'm in TKS program for 10 months already. And I'm really passionate about genetic engineering. So especially using CRISPR-Cas, which is this gene editing system that allows you to modify DNA. And my vision is in the future, I want us to use this gene editing technology to cure a lot of genetic diseases that affect millions of people today and even prolong human life.
Amazing.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanisha. I'm 17, grade 11. I'm also part of the TKS program, and I was in your shoes about like a year ago. Just a young girl who was interested in STEM, and I also wanted to help with innovation and create an impact. So through the program, I got interested in something called quantum computing, and it's allowed me to be able to understand some of the biggest problems we face now and actually realize how I can create change and actually solve some of these problems using this technology.
Amazing. So now that we know who you are and what you're excited about, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got here, what has informed your curiosity, your passion, and your belief that you can solve these huge problems in the world.
So for me, I was actually born and raised in Vietnam, and I grew up with a deaf cousin. So as a 12-year-old kid, hanging out with him every day, I saw a lot of injustice that he was suffering from. He had to drop out of school, and a lot of people are not treating him well just because the fact that he was deaf. And I felt really conflicted and unsettled by that fact. And when I learned about tissue engineering and genetic engineering, especially at TKS, I know that it is one of the solutions to this problem. And I feel like whenever you talk about solving big problems, it's just the humans that are working behind it. So if you have the relentlessness and you have the determination and the boss mentality to actually do it, then you can do it. So if someone is going to do it anyway, why not me?
Awesome. I love that. Tanisha.
Okay, yeah, so I actually moved to Canada when I was 7 years old, and throughout my school life, I've been to 10 different schools, and I think I've been in very different environments, and it's really changed the way I think, and I realized that there's so many problems in the world, and I don't just want to sit in a classroom, but I want to go out and do something that can help create an impact. And so my story began just by being exposed to certain problems that I see at one point in my life. We moved to Canada, and I struggled, my family struggled, and I saw some of the, being not financially stable at the time. I think I grew up really fast, and I saw some problems within me and within the community and I realized that as I grew up, I wanted to help solve some of these problems and really create an impact. And my curiosity just began in going into something I'm interested in, like science and math and physics, and just pursuing that goal and seeing how it will lead me. And I'm still on a journey, and I still want to discover myself and how I can really do something for the world and give back.
Beautiful. So, fast forward 25 years to when you're as young as me. What problem are you solving? What's the impact you've had? What's your big idea for the world?
So as I've mentioned before, I really want to use CRISPR to cure a bunch of diseases. But I know that having, talked with a lot of experts in the field and having done research in a lab, I know that one of the problems with CRISPR is off-target effects. And if we don't solve this problem as soon as possible, then we cannot move forward to a future where we can actually use CRISPR to cure diseases and have real clinical trials, in humans. And with that mindset in mind, I'm actually working on anti-CRISPR, which is this new technology that allows you to control the CRISPR system and help humans as a society to move forward, to a future where we can actually use this tool to cure diseases.
Beautiful. Tanisha.
So my big idea, I have really big visions. I want to be, in 25 years, I want to be solving the biggest problems we're facing right now, such as global warming or understanding our DNA or something like drug discovery. So I've been exposed to quantum computing, and I use my knowledge and understanding in this tech, and I've actually started coding in it, and going deeper into what quantum machine learning is and how I can leverage this technology in the future when the hardware and the software is really developed to solve really, really hard problems and also create an impact.
That's amazing. I love that. Is there anything else you want to share as advice to these incredible people?
For sure. Okay. And being up here, you might think that I've done, me and Hannah, we're doing something that's unachievable. But I want to say that being up here, I was in your shoes just last year, and I had no idea what I would do, what my passion would be. But I think just it's important to realize that don't lose your curiosity and just stay curious and passionate, and go out, and you have a vast amount of resources that you can use. So as Jodi was saying, seek out mentors that can also give you a lot of knowledge, and go research and find something that interests you, and take a journey, take an unconventional path, and find yourself and find out what you want to do for the world.
For me, one key advice I would give would be never be afraid. Like, people are afraid of things they don't know, and when you first get into fields that are really complicated, like genetic engineering or quantum computing, you will be confused. That will happen, and it will happen to anyone. But then, if you can break through that confusion, and you can seek for a higher purpose beyond your own fear, and then keep doing it and doing it and doing it, then you will reach somewhere, and you will go to places, And whenever you feel afraid, because I know we all do, and we all feel insecure sometimes, and we all feel that we have self-doubts. Just look into the mirror and, smile at yourself every morning and say that, I have places to go, I have people to impress, and I can do this. Because we can do it, and then you can do it too.
I really couldn't put it any better than that. I would just say that to me, my audacious goal is that in 25 years, you're all the leaders changing the world. We're not having this conversation anymore because we have moved the dial so much together, and that this is not a girl or women problem. We all need to work together to build an opportunity for all of us to be leaders and contribute. So I wish you a wonderful day, and just keep with you the perspective of gratitude for each moment that you're here, because I only wish that I ever could have had the privilege of this incredible education and meeting such other incredible smart humans as are in this room. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jodi.